Grand Rising, my brother.
Grand Rising, my brother.
How
Um,
goes it?
Blessed. And yourself? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, here today on the Humblest Opinion, myself, Tony Bahama, Malik Aligambo, we'll be touching on some issues or some things, just current events um, around the country and around the world. Before we get into that, first things first, we have to get our disclaimer out of the way. Our disclaimer states that the Humblest Opinion is brought to you by AB2C Broadcasting, B Caribbean TV, and Professional Renaissance Protection Services. The Humblest Opinion is brought to you via an at-will clause and via at-will platforms, meaning that 100% of all things and everything that we say, every ideas, attempts, information, disseminations of all that is said is 100% non-liable to us, the purveyors and the communicators and the talent on the show. If you, for whatever reason, feel that something is bothering you or something you don't like, you have the right to use your right to choose. Okay, but Yamba, with a lot going on, just our recap on the week, or a recap, of current events going around and going on. Um, Tell us, I guess, whatever's your thoughts or whatever you feel is a current event to start us off.
Well, I guess the most recent that seems to be on everyone's tongue right now would be the shooting of the teenage girl in
Oh
the
man.
domestic dispute. Yeah, you know. Now, I'll say this. I cannot, unfortunately, um, I cannot stand with, I cannot stand with those who are saying that um, he was totally and completely wrong because this was a different situation. All right. She was about to stab somebody when this took place. So I cannot say that I stand against the action of saving someone's life. What I can say is that there wasn't a need to fire four shots, in my opinion. I feel like he could have done it with one, and maybe she would have still been alive. But the actions of this young lady, because here's the sad thing about the situation. Here's the sad thing about the situation. Um, the people who came to the house were actually attacking her, being there to
Correct.
attack her. So she
Correct.
called for assistance. But here's the thing: from you saw that the police had arrived, you should have put that weapon down and now stated your case because help is here. Okay.
Hey,
The fact that the fact that the fact that she saw the police, ran out there and attempted to stab this girl in the chest because you saw where the knife was going. The fact I now I realize and understand now that the guy who was kicking the girl on the ground in the video was a father, and I guess he had come
wow.
to assist. Yeah, he'd come to assist. But the fact of the matter still remains that once you have involved the police, you have involved the police. That means once they arrive, you're supposed to allow them to take over because nobody else had a weapon in their hand at that time. I can't speak to what took place before the police
Right.
arrived, but what I'm saying to you is when the police arrived, you saw them. Okay. He spoke, he identified himself. He didn't even have to because he was in uniform. Okay. But his reaction was, this girl is about to stab this other girl. And I don't feel like it needed to be four shots. I don't feel like it had to actually be to the chest. He could have wounded her, right? Now, even though it was a short time to react, they've been trained to react quickly. So it could have been another result, in my opinion, but I don't feel that, because people are trying to class it in a Sandra Bland or George, or Floyd. No, 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 not at all.
Yeah,
Not at all.
yeah. I agree partially with some of the points. Some of the points are very vivid and true, but to the opposite of that, in some ways, I do see. First and foremost, let me say this: anybody that works in law enforcement or has that task of pretty much putting their life on the line, on a daily basis for anything, any job could be putting your life on the line. For all intents and purposes, you could be a sex worker and you're basically putting your life on the line. You could be a customer service representative in front of somebody at a restaurant or the gas station. You're putting your life on the line. It's that serious to me because it can happen. You could be robbed. You could be accosted. It's a possibility that you walk out your door and you cannot come back in on that day doing any job. So, hats off for courage, people trying to provide and do the right thing. That's one. But on the same note, um, the police in America do not have the best history and or track record. The police were not formed to protect and serve minority people.
That
Maybe
is 100%. Oh, that is 100% accurate. That's accurate.
yeah.
Yes.
Maybe for anybody listening that's a minority, that protect and serve does not mean you. They're
No,
not
no, it doesn't mean that. No.
right. That wasn't intended to mean you. Much like the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, that they were not meaning you. So, um, just keep that in mind as we go along this whole trend of this. So, with that said, the police were the slave catching and fugitive slave laws that groups and militias that came out of the Pinkertons. The Pinkertons were a for pay group. So basically, if you had enough money, you'd send this group to pay, or enough votes or influence, or everybody just got together and put this money to fund this group of individuals, I guess, to protect their community or to keep their community together. So that's the basics of it. So bear in mind that that's the precedent you're dealing with. That's one. Two, um, as it relates to the exact specific instance, I agree with Brother Gamma that she probably should have put the knife down. I agree with Brother Gamma that if someone calls your dad and these girls came over to attack you and your father comes over, he is trying to defend or stomping a girl. I mean, I get family and I get, but come on, a guy stomping a girl. Now, like I said, I don't know how ravenous or how, defensive or how they're in duress this person or there were, but it's still one of those things where it could have gone different. Now, I can't blame the young lady for holding on to the knife, but and then two, it sounds kind of simple and silly. If somebody comes to fight me and I don't want to fight and I'm outnumbered, the best thing is to stay in your house. You know, that I don't know if that makes sense to most people listening or you, Brother Gamma, but I just stayed in my house. Like, look, they're not coming. If they're coming into my house, then I'm calling the police and I'm defending my house because at that point we have a breaking and entering, or we have a forced
Right, right,
entry.
right.
But to go out and to meet them, you're probably about, as complicit in the act of fighting, from what I could see, and I could be wrong, as the 4 girls coming. Now, they are coming to jump you. Yes. Your father is intervening. Yes. There's a lot in this whole equation that's probably not being said. As far as the police coming, I've had personally professional weapons training. And the gentleman who trained me, professional weapons training, was stating, there's a way to disarm a situation. There's a protocol. And this doesn't fit proper protocol from what is being taught by a police, by anybody with professional weapon training. Now, if a police is supposed to have a weapon, then they should have professional weapons training. Shout out to Professional Renaissance Services, you know, um, which is one sponsor here at our show. But those things follow a certain line. Let me give you the protocol. The protocol is if someone has something that's over a hand's length outside of the hand, so they have a shank or a pen or a pencil, you're then able to use a knife or a club or a projectile with clear commands. Stop, stay back, hey, put it down, disarm yourself, I'm here. Consistently, you only have to give those commands once before if they're coming at you, attacking you, that you have the right to defend yourself or disarm the suspect or whoever else it is. If they have a pen, a knife, or something else like that. I mean, a pen, a shank, a projectile. Now, if they have a knife, you have the right, as a police officer or somebody else, you have the right to use a taser or a club, or you have to back up. Now, you could, if it's a civilian situation, the whole term of standing your ground, you have the right to stand where you are. Someone can't attack you or run at you and you not defend yourself. But if you are a civilian, if you are a police officer or somebody else in that's protecting and serving, you have the right to subdue the subject after they attempt to attack you. You only have the right to use the force of a gun. If someone has a taser or a knife that's over 12 inches. So if someone's coming at you with a knife, you have the right to use the taser and or the gun. And that's a whole nother story because, the other person.
Well, I got to interject there because that's actually not accurate in that you are, as a police officer, because it says to protect and serve, it's not just you that you have to be concerned with.
Correct.
You have to be concerned with the fact that she is going to try to kill somebody else. And as an officer of the law, it is your duty to stop
it
or to attempt to stop that. And it was a very large knife. It was the longest kitchen knife that you'd basically have in the house because that's where it came from.
Correct. But hold on. Finally,
uh-huh.
on my point is the protocol at that point is not 4 shots to the chest. The shot it's a warning shot in the air. Then it's a warning shot to the individual in the fit, like to shoot him in the leg, shoot him in the foot to disarm them.
Right. Again, discretion is allowed in situations, but I said before, and I agree 100%. 4 shots is overkill.
Excessive.
That's excessive.
Yeah.
Okay,
in the
that's
chest.
excessive. Right. Right. So and that's why I said initially, I do not fault him for shooting her. I don't, because the time frame does not allow for the shooting in the air. But he could have wounded her instead of 4 shots to the chest.
I agree.
That was overkill. Now, see, I'm going on your point. Piggyback on the point from the initial situation. This is the reason why it took place, because if that was a Caucasian situation, 9.99 times out of 10, That would not have happened that way. And if the person was shot,
Yeah.
they would not have been shot in the upper extremities, where death was potential. You understand?
Right.
Now, but see, here's the thing, and we have to hold ourselves accountable as a people. See, if you know what you're dealing with, you know what you're in. We are at war. We are in lands where we have no rights for the most part. You are dealing with people who, time and time again, as it relates to people of color, especially those that are labeled black, we get the
Right.
shortest end of the stick. When you see that kind of situation, your best bet is to act in a manner that lessens the risk of death, because all the time when you do these things, sometimes you still die. People have still died when they did everything right. Okay.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that when he came, he did not shoot the guy who was kicking the girl because there was no weapon in his hand. You understand that? He was speaking to the guy first because the girl got pushed on the ground by the guy and he started stomping her. So he was focusing on that first. But immediately after that, two people come running out and one is about to stab the other. That is why
Yeah.
she ended up
Yeah.
getting shot. So what I'm saying to you is that even though the system itself is terrible, all of the people in the system are not terrible. So we have a system that is designed in a certain way, but we also have people who are a part of the system who are naturally good people. I'm not saying he is a good person because I do not know the
Yeah. You don't
gentleman.
know the job. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What I am saying is that I can guarantee you that it will be justified because of how it went down. Now, if she had come out and she was running and she didn't have anything in her hand and she was just trying to punch this girl and he shot her, then that's murder. You understand me? That's straight up murder.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
are about to murder someone else and I stopped you from murdering someone else, whether that person was right or wrong, legally, as the officer, he cannot be charged. That's my point. Okay, so we
Yeah.
have to take we have to take responsibility for our part in it, because she started off right in that she called the police because they were coming to attack. As you said, she should have stayed inside until the police came. You understand me? That's what she should have
Right.
done. Or if she had the knife in her hand, she could have stabbed that girl up in that house, because you came to where I live. I can protect
Right.
myself. I can defend
Self. Right.
myself.
You
But
have the right
but
to
the
do it. Yep.
police are now on the scene. The law cannot support you. I'm sorry. This is black and white. The law cannot support you once you have the law coming to you. They have already arrived on the scene. They are now in charge, my brother. That's the law. That's black and white.
Yeah.
From the police
Yeah.
arrive, they are in charge. You are no longer in charge. The only thing that you can do now is tell your story. This is the law. Okay?
Yeah.
This ain't an opinion. So you can't use your opinion at this time when the law is there. You feel what I'm saying? You can't do that. So she took it upon herself to continue when the police was already there. The police pulled up with sirens, which means you heard them coming. You understand? The guy was already there talking to and identifying himself and saying, hey, 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 y'all. And then the very next thing is you're trying to stop her. And you have that person who, of course, is going to play the greatest victim, even though they knew that they were in the wrong for coming there, because as far as she's concerned, hey, she was about to kill me. So that's going to be a statement. So you tell me where the person who died is going to be given right.
Yeah.
In the
It's
court of
a
law.
slippery
In
slope.
law,
Yeah.
law, law, law.
It,
Our opinion don't matter in the court of law. In law. You tell me.
yeah. And another system relative to things that are not really that are unbiased, are biased to against and
Yes.
towards African and melanated people is the court system.
Yes.
So even
Yes.
just to say if she was to survive, you think these girls that came over there to cause harm to her initially in any regard, you think
Yes.
they're going to be
Yes.
the ones to say, "Oh no, no, no! I was wrong for coming over there. We were gonna jump her and fight her.
I feel that the law should charge them in being complicit in a death.
Complicit,
That's what I
yes,
feel.
yes,
That's what I feel.
yes,
Because if they did
yes.
not do what they did, she would be alive today. So I feel that they should be charged as complicit in this thing.
Correct and understood. I agree, but are they really going to say no? This girl who we didn't
I
like anyway.
of course they're not
Of
going to
course, they're
say that.
not gonna say that.
Okay, but
You
here's the
know,
thing: very few people ever go to court and say yes, I'm guilty. So I don't. It shouldn't matter whether they feel like they're guilty or not. It shouldn't matter at all. What should matter is what will the law do? And that's the question. What will the law do in this situation?
perfect
That's what it is.
segue. Perfect segue into our next topic. Um, according about 3 days ago, I say four. One Miss Ladiria Russell of Grantana Subdivision in the Bahamas has been selling. Now, bear in mind, I was not there. I did not purchase any. You
Has
know, honest.
has been alleged. It
Right,
has been
it's
alleged.
alleged. It's alleged. It
It's
is
alleged.
alleged that she was the young lady in question was allegedly selling forged results since November of 2020. Um, with negative PCR test a requirement being for travel, people wanted to travel without taking costly, you know, COVID-19 test. Just for those and this is a conundrum that we have to deal with and mention here. If you have to leave the Bahamas or most Caribbean islands, the PCR test or the test is $150. We talked about this in the show
Yeah.
prior.
Yes.
So this young this individual potentially, allegedly was saying, you know what, don't spend that $150. Just give me, this little thing, and I'll give you this test here, and you are able to then travel and or leave. Um, personally, and we've stated this about our thoughts on this hoax or pandemic or whatever else it is. The
Yes.
flu is real.
Yes.
Some of these things are real, but the need to vaccinate
Yeah,
somebody,
yes,
which the
but
vaccine is free,
this thing here is not real. But what you said before is real. But this thing here is not
right?
real. Continue.
But the vaccine is, unproven. This is the only time in history that I personally have looked up and seen where multiple vaccines have been recalled. The Johnson
Yeah,
and Johnson vaccine is bad or doesn't work or has adverse effects, and then the AstraZeneca
AstraZeneca.
vaccine,
Hmm.
they just said, "Look, stop giving this to people." Like I've
Right,
never seen that ever. So it begs the question: what was actually in this to begin with? Which is a whole nother show. But
right,
you could get the garbage that they were giving for free, but you have to
right,
pay in a plan in a recession without a
right,
job, without
right.
active economy going on. You have to find $150 to get out or take the test. They're even trying to make it mandatory for some individuals that they have to go back to work. If they have to go back to work, that they have to take this test or pay this money every so often. Ladies and gentlemen, I personally, just as like my humblest opinion, I would like the numbers or the information from Mrs. Russell. I will put some money on her books, and if I was a lawyer, I would defend her pro bono, because I don't really. Yeah, it is potentially a hazard of health by which allegedly was her actions, but if you stayed, you might get COVID. If you go, you might get COVID. But again, man, help me understand. I just
Well,
don't really
uh,
feel that she should be held to this over the rest.
my defense for the young lady would be this: the first thing that I would do is challenge, which, mind you, there are some universities, 7 universities, in fact, that have already filed a lawsuit against the CDC for the fake
Right,
pandemic.
right.
This is happening. All right. The first thing I would do is challenge the findings. You have to now produce. You have to produce the virus to me. That's the first thing you have to do. Produce the virus. They
Beautiful,
cannot do
beautiful
that.
defense.
They cannot
Beautiful
do that
defense.
because
Yeah.
they do not have it. It does not exist. So they cannot do that because people have been asking universities, various medical practitioners have been requesting it, and they have said that they do not have any to give you. They do not have it. This whole time, you don't have it. All these tests that you've been running on people, telling them that they are positive, but you have no virus to show us. Okay, you have to now prove to me that this virus is real. See, if you cannot prove that the virus is real, then
Right.
everything that you have done after that is illegal
It's a
because you're
subsequent
saying
yes.
to yes, you're saying to me that I have to have this when it's not necessary because there's no need for that. What you're calling positive tests are either cold, flu, um, or anything along the strain, but it's nothing about what you're speaking of because you're labeling it something that it's not. This does not exist. So, how can I have committed a crime when what you're talking about is a hoax? That would be my defense
Right.
because legally she's already broke. If it's true, she's already broken the law. So there's no defense for that.
Right.
Legally, she has already broken the law. But is the law correct? Does the law Is the law actually accurate in this situation? Should the law have been applied in this way? I don't feel that it should have. But legally, if it is true, because again, it's alleged, but they said they found her with them in her possession. That part I don't understand either. I mean, what, you just sitting around with a bunch of tests, what you sent out before to look at?
Yeah.
Did you have this thing in your email? Did you have it on your phone? The case itself, of course, the story continues. But because I know, not believe, I know that this is not true. This is not a true thing that is taking place, then I don't feel the way others would feel because, mind you, if this was a genuine pandemic, which there's absolutely no evidence to support that it is, if this was a genuine pandemic, then I would have said, lock her up, throw away the key, because you are putting other people at risk because they're
Right.
trying to save lives. But that's not what they're doing. They're making money. The test is about money. In the Bahamas, after you've paid for this test, it runs anywhere from $100 to $150, depending on the lab that you go to, right? If you're coming from the Family Island, where there's only certain Family Islands only have one facility for that, it's going to cost you more. They up to almost $300, okay, just for the test. After the test, you have to now pay for the travel visa. It's just more money. You understand?
Yeah.
It's just more money. This only money. Why would you need a travel visa if you have a test that says you're negative? If this was true, that's all you should be showing. Why are you charging? There are many other countries that are not charging this. So they are, or someone is pocketing this money. Where's this money going? Okay,
Correct. Correct.
so
Correct.
at the end of the day, because it's not true, that's why I stand with her. If it was true, then I couldn't stand with her because then you would truly be trying to injure others.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that one. I agree with the sister on this. Um, yeah, there's no okay. Okay. We when I say we, the people of the Bahamas came in and asked for good governance from this government whenever they came into power. And they stated that they would have full clarity and openness on government. Um, they would have good clarity on government contracts and information about, where legislation and where government funds and who would get it and all of this information. This has not been the case. There is a group of individuals that have these information or have the right to hand out these tests, and a group of others that don't. And nobody knows the difference. Nobody knows for sure. Um, it's just a lot here that's not open and forthright with the whole process. On top of that, um, and maybe it's just an instance of happenstance. Maybe it just randomly happened, right? That Bill Gates visited the Bahamas, you know, in his own private jet. Questionable was the fact that did he have to take a vaccine before he came? Did he even take his own vaccine? You
Mm-hmm.
know, what was the circumstances relative to him coming? What was the meeting about? What was the thought process on all of what went down and why he came? All of this has not been released to the Bahamian public. But since that date, it's been extremely hard for individuals to travel. Maybe the Bahamas, maybe they might be used as test subjects. You know, these laws or these passings of legislations and so on and so forth, you know, all of a sudden came tour de force, fast and quick and right away at the Bahamian people. One of the things that I guess the people have to consider is basically the giving or awarding of the supermajority and outright control of, you know, power to one group, which they did by giving it to the group of people that are there. You know, ideologically, it would have been positive to have a doctor as the leader in the time of a pandemic. But for economically, the country has suffered. Health wise, the country has suffered. So, was it really worth it? You know, has it really benefited you? So, that's my thoughts on that. Um, but we do have another thing. Speaking of on the who the time or who the air in the Bahamas in a cultural and social sense, you know, outside of just the health and the physical well being of things there, who was that benefited? A gentleman, Rodell Ferguson, a painter, an artist, not an activist by any stretch of the imagination that we know, painted a picture of a child drinking a juice. And the child is colored in what is a black and white world or black and white background. And the juice mimics a Capri Sun. And the Capri Sun has Caucasians on it, jokingly. That's the juice. And his painting was taken down or banned or removed without his even knowing. They didn't have the dignity to even call him and tell him, look, no, we're taking your painting down. We don't really agree with whatever else it is. Um, on the same lines of censorship and the lack of freedom of speech and everything else. But again, but tell me your thoughts on this. What do you feel?
The the issue for me is their reasoning behind taking it down. See, you can you can say, oh, you didn't like how it looked, and utilize that. Say, listen, man, this wasn't this just ugly. You know, you
Right.
could have utilized that. But when you utilize
Which is what they said. Yep.
racism, which is
Yep.
what they said, okay? See, because what, okay, this is another thing about the system that is extremely annoying and that we need to realize and understand. All right. Racism is actually the systematic oppression of a people. You
Correct.
understand me? Of a race of people. Race, as we had in another show, has been created. All right. That does not exist. But racism, the definition of that is the oppression of. Who did he oppress? And how can we as melanated people oppress anybody in our current situation? It's impossible. Now,
Right.
what they have done is that they to to justify or to whitewash or to make it seem less ugly. They've added things like bigotry and uh, and the like, discrimination, prejudice, things
Yeah.
like this, to make it seem as if that's racism, which is not. It's not. It's not racism. Okay. But they have it set up as that. This is the same thing as changing the scientific facts to fit their narrative for this thing that's going on now.
Right.
It's not racism. So to say that it's racist is foolishness, is ludicrous. All right.
Right.
So, and also too, as an artist, art is expression, which means I have the right to express myself in my
Right.
art.
That's right. That's how he felt. You should be able to do that.
Okay. So I don't understand why they felt the need or they felt that they were right in doing what they did. That's my humble opinion on that.
Yeah. I personally, I am a big advocate of freedom of expression. Um, I I don't see how this is right or fair for this gentleman to have to deal with the ire of somebody else's issue and or problem. They have an issue with his work. They paid him a contract to make an expression. The reason why you didn't just randomly do it yourself because it doesn't fit what you want. You want a different viewpoint. You want a different thought. So they hired this gentleman to come and do it, and they agreed to display and put his work out there. So with that, I think this attempt at censorship is not right. Because one of the a famous quote says that if you want to find out who you can't criticize, that's the one. When you do criticize them, that's the one who really holds the power. The only thing I see,
Exactly.
the only words in this picture is the word Caucasian on the juice.
Yes.
The only
And
visible word. Right.
and it never said kill the Caucasians. See,
So
that
you
would have been
can't even
different.
call
That
their
would have been
name.
different. So this is what I'm saying, but so that's the point there. It clearly shows, as you said, who has the power, where the problem really comes in. See, here's the thing: the true racists, the true racists never like to be called out for their racism.
Correct. They never like to be identified.
They never like to be identified. They don't like anyone to call them out and say, "Hey, you are a racist." No,
And
no.
we've got, and and the sad part is they've gotten to the point to even try to express to. So this black gentleman, the white individual, is telling, hey, the white individual who in the Bahamas hold at least and I'm figuring conservatively, 85% of all the wealth in the Bahamas is held by Caucasian and white individuals.
Yes, yes, I can agree
And
with that.
that's conservative. It might be even more.
Yes,
In the Bahamas, this says not America. This is not some other place where the systems of slavery and racism, you know, were predominantly overt, supposedly, right? In the Bahamas, 85% of all the wealth is held by white and Caucasian individuals. And that's a conservative number. So you can't even mention their name. You know so and then they are the ones that are upset and bothered by the art that says racism, and the people that benefited by the system and are the purveyors of racism, either themselves or their parents. The light skinned black person can get a job faster in the Bahamas than the dark skinned person or the
yes, yes,
African melanated person.
yes, yes,
So they do it all the time. Look downtown when under regular circumstances in the banks and these other places, they're light skinned people. It's not a
yes.
majority or plethora of dark skinned people.
No,
So it's
no.
still the plantation system recidivizing
Yes,
itself.
yes, yes.
So they want light skinned people to be in charge of their company as marketing. All the marketing and media, and most of them, a lot of them are light skinned people. So
Yes,
the
yes,
systems are
yes.
still in place. The systems are still in place. So you're saying to me, the white people who keep this system active in the Bahamas they're calling a black artist racist simply for him calling their name, and he didn't
See,
call
this is
them by name. He just said
yeah,
Caucasian.
right. Yeah, he called them by their status.
He didn't
Here's
say
the
you
thing.
honky, you. He didn't say no, you cracker.
Right. Yeah.
No,
It,
he didn't say that.
no. Here's the thing. Here's the issue, right? The system does not want anything to change. So anything
Right.
that they feel may cause adversity or cause people to actually rise up,
Or
start to
realize,
question,
yep, yep,
or
yep.
realize exactly what's going on, that they're truly caught up in a matrix, then they're going to do whatever they can to knock that. Because if they start, if their thing is, okay, if we let one person do it, we're going to have more people doing it. And then we're going to have other people saying, you know what? That makes me
That's
think.
true. That's true. Yeah. Yep.
You understand me? That makes me think. And because it makes me think, that's something we're not supposed to do now. Okay, we're taught and trained to be robots. Remember this. All right. So when you start to think, now you become a problem to the system, and that's something that they did not want to happen.
Right. You generally, well, I say you, I mean us as the Bahamian people, we have to look at um, the factors that make up this whole existence. I hold affirmedly. I've been some places. I haven't been everywhere. Want to go everywhere, but I could affirmatively say that some of the smoothest, most definitely professionally done racism and oppression is right here, right there in the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
Because in America you could kind of see, oh, let's riot, let's march, let's fight. We see some negative things, we see some things that are inequitable, and it's a consistent relative system that it's in everything in America. It's so smoothly done in the Bahamas that most Bahamians don't even feel that racism even exists.
The reason why they don't feel that way is because we must remember, if we check our history, when there was the UBP in the Bahamas, and you had the whites and Conky Joes above everyone, that's when the racism was prominent. You clearly knew what was going on because you were spoken to any kind of way. You were not allowed in certain kinds of places. Segregation was there just as it was in any other part of the world or America at that time. But when they allowed, and people don't see this is where people don't understand, when they allowed the black face to represent them, because that's
Right.
all they did, they just changed the color of the representation. This is the reason why they don't see it that way, because when they're being treated poorly by the black person, they don't understand that this is racism perpetuating itself, because this is not even the black man treating you this way. This is the white man, the Caucasian, the Caucasoid, giving them the instructions as to how these things must happen. Because
Correct.
they are the ones who are funding all of this. They fund the parties. So he who holds the cash holds the power. So if I say to you, I'm giving you $10 million to push this campaign, you think I gave you $10 million on air? No, sir. You work for me now. You work
Right.
for me. So I say, I need these laws changed to accommodate me and my company and my business and my people. That's what takes place. So when these things happen, you're like, oh, that's the law. Why did it become the law? You're not doing any research. You're not thinking. This is the reason why these things are the way that they are. And this is the reason why the average Bahamian doesn't understand that. And if you tell them that, they will fight you down
No, no, no,
because
no,
they've
no.
been,
That can't be. That can't this. That's not
yes,
true.
be,
What?
because they've been taught and trained otherwise. So to speak against what um what what has been taught, what has been instilled, what has been indoctrinated into us is always going to be a problem. So any topic that they've drilled into the people is so they don't have to defend themselves anymore. You understand that? They don't have to defend themselves. because, and this is worldwide, but definitely in the Bahamas, they don't have to defend themselves. All right, because if you watch social media alone, and that's why I said worldwide, when certain things take place, and you who have done research and know exactly what it is that's taking place and the history behind these things, can see it coming from a mile away, you would have people defending it because they've been educated to understand it and accept it. So who are you to challenge the experts, which is what they love to use? If you don't have degrees in this particular area, as far as they're concerned, you're not able to speak. But I don't have to be somebody who creates pink to tell you if it's a green color on the wall.
Right, right.
I don't feel like I needed to go to school to tell you that's green or that's black. Now you could say to me, oh, well, it is that, but it's a shade of, okay. So you give it a little different name, but it still falls in the family of that, right? So what may it be
Right,
wrong? Okay,
right.
but
It's
that's how
it's
people
Tiffany
are.
blue, but it's still blue.
Yes,
It's still
right,
blue.
exactly. So and they feel that they are extremely intelligent by being able to say this to you. You
Yeah.
understand? All right. So that's the thing. We have the intelligently dumb because they've only been trained to do master's bidding without realizing that they're nothing
That
more
they're
than a
doing
pawn
it.
on the board.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, um, the art freedom of speech has to be defended on this. Um, I don't. It should actually be um, democracy and freedom works best under the all the right that you have to be able to say anything however you are, and you do have the right to be held responsible for whatever else you do say. You know, which unless it's on a platform, I guess that it's a choice. If you didn't agree with it, just don't look at the picture. Yeah, I don't. That doesn't mean it's not appeasing or
Simple.
entertaining to
Simple.
somebody.
Yes. Simple. Simple.
It's
Simple.
unfair to kind of take it all down. Nobody should be looking at it. No, that's not right. And those individuals are wrong for that behavior. Um, it's sad. It's just really sad that this is where you denigrate it. And what you have to begin to question yourself before we move on to the next topic is are you really better off since the UBP? Do you have the freedom? Do you have the economic capability that you did or you potentially could have? Is it really different?
Yeah.
Is
Like
it
like like like
really
what
that
is
much
like
better?
what has truly been better for you? What is truly better for you?
Put your
since
finger on it.
since
Yeah, identify
since
it.
the whole thing. What is truly better? All right. So
Uh,
um now on the final point, we have of course something that has been large for a long time in the community, and it's finally come to what seems to be an end. And I say what seems to be an end because later down we speak on the fact that the judge has of the case has made a statement. But the Derek Chauvin case,
right.
all right, in the death of our melanated brother George Floyd in Minneapolis, right? He was brought guilty on all three counts. This is unprecedented because these things don't come to that point. I mean, how many murders and then they murders, in my humble opinion, have
Yeah.
how many murders have been committed at the hands of the police, and people have been vindicated? How many murders have taken place at the hands of other people outside the race against the black people, against the black family, and nothing came out of it? So I am very happy, very, very happy to hear that he was brought guilty on all three, even though I do agree with with the female who Watkins who they're saying tried to incite a riot, and because of what she said, it may be. there's a possible there's a possibility of overturning the conviction
Wow.
because because they feel as if um they feel as if what she said while they were out there was something that scared the jury into doing this. You understand me?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the thing. Yeah.
Um, I bear in mind, and I have to say this, and maybe I'm being greedy in the sense of uppity Negroes and white people, black people or white people. I don't even care at this point. This one death, God forbid, not wishing that one or any individual suffer and or die. Not at all. Not advocating it. But this murder, which it was, I agree with you, Brother Gamma, does not, and his subsequent retribution of that. One, looking at the charges, second degree, third degree, fourth degree charges, manslaughter, and so on and so forth. Let's just take away it as an example. One, it's a lighter sentence. All
Yes.
of this stuff, manslaughter and accidental homicide. No, the dude, motherfucker, excuse my language, sat on a dude's neck.
No need, no need for excusing in this place. There's
Fuck we
sometimes where
talking about?
exclamations are necessary.
The fuck we talking about? He
Exactly.
looked at a camera doing it. Are you kidding me? Ain't nothing
I,
accident
I
about
mean,
that
the
shit.
entire time. The entire time.
Let's fuck the law. Fuck the police. Black or white, let's take it out for a second. Cool. If a motherfucker stood on your neck for 8 minutes, for 5 minutes, or you stood on the motherfucker neck for 5 minutes, let's just say you out in the street and you get in a fight with a dude and you gotta put your knee on his neck for 5 minutes till the cops come. And the dude
Yeah.
dies. What's gonna happen? And it's recorded. Whoever comes and sees that video, you're going to jail for murder.
Yes.
So how the fuck does this dude get accidental homicide in the act of performing his duties as a police officer? Bullshit. I call bullshit. I call bullshit. So the terms for that, 40 to life. Whereas the accidental shit and the second degree and the third degree that they put on there takes it down to like maybe 10 to 30 years. So potentially,
And
depending on how this
the
immune system hold up, but how he takes to jail, and bear in mind,
yeah,
he's gonna
yeah.
have to be put in private, in solitary
Unprotected
confinement or
custody,
police
yes, of
control.
course.
Yeah. All because you can't put him. He's a former police. You can't put him. People love. Inmates love when a police officer gets in there. They get to do to them whatever it is that they brought him in here. They love it. So he's gonna be in that loop for the rest of his time in jail. So it could be easy time, it could be hard time. He still gets visiting rights. He still gets all these different things. There were numerous GoFundMe pages to give this motherfucker money. So when he gets
Yeah,
out, he's gonna be a damn millionaire. So in
yeah.
30 years and 20 years, if they commute the sentences, you know, yeah, he could be out for doing this.
The
So maybe I'm
yeah.
greedy. Maybe I'm no. Maybe I'm the greedy
No,
one. Brother
no,
Gabby,
no,
help
no.
me understand.
I don't feel that you're greedy at all, my brother. And you have all right to be irate, as we all should be. It's the messed up thing about it is that when you get these lesser charges, the judge has the right to sentence as he or she sees fit, which means
Correct.
that the sentences can run consecutively or they can run concurrently. He can give the maximum or he can give the minimum by law. You understand what I'm saying? Okay,
Yeah.
we're already having a potential problem here, and this is another reason to be even more upset. The set of the representative that I was trying to remember the name for was Maxine Waters.
Oh yeah.
Maxine
Yep.
Waters was present, um, showing her support in Brooklyn Center over the weekend when they were rallying. And of course, they put the camera to her, and she was letting them know, hey, she was letting them know, hey, they should not go anywhere, and you fight for your rights. And because she utilized the word fight, they're all over that. You understand me? Saying that she was trying to incite a riot, asking what they should do. She said, but they should stay. They should stay and continue to protest if they don't get what it is that they're wanting. She did not say go and tear the city up, burn everything down, kill everybody. She didn't say those things. But of course, they're going to utilize those words. So the judge is now making it seem as if her words scared the jury into the verdict. But weren't they supposed to be sequestered? Aren't they supposed to be in a place where they couldn't even hear or know what was going on? So I don't
Right.
understand how that's even applicable. Don't understand how it's applicable, but this is what is being said. So they are going out of their way to try to see if they can find a way to get him off of it, because just because you've been brought guilty does not mean that that is the end, necessarily the end of it. You can always appeal. You can it could be put aside or overturned. There are different things that could take place after that still has this man vindicated after everything that's taken place. So
Yeah.
we don't know if this was something that was done to appease the people for now, and then later down things happen. Okay, let's take for example, uh Bill Cosby is out of prison. That wasn't announced.
Right.
You understand me? That wasn't announced. That's not something that's blasted all over the news. They blasted his trial all over the news, all of his allegations for however long. But when he was
And
released,
his image in the court of public opinion is shot for someone that's done
exactly.
such a great things. I look at television and I'm upset at what I see as television. I don't watch television
Yes.
often, but what I grew
Yeah.
up and I see as television has drastically been affected in a positive
Yeah,
way
yeah,
by
yes.
Bill Cosby, the image of
Yes.
black
By
people.
but by him, and actually he would be the one to speak against or speak to our people and say this is not the way to do it, even though many of them did not like it because they wanted to go along with the mainstream that they figured would be making the money. When his whole thing
Right.
was, listen, we have to represent us. We have to teach and train our children not to be like this. But I digress. What I'm saying is that
Yeah. Sorry.
just how that could have happened. Who's to say that when something happens with this dude, we don't really know what took place?
you
Who's
know,
to
you
say?
know, um, yeah, right. But countries have systems in place where individuals can be removed. If let's just say if it gets too hot, he could be moved to whatever prison or facility or whatever else it was. He could be in the witness protection plan. They could be trying to kill him or do something to him in jail. He could be removed easily, quickly, no problem. So I mean, it, it's and then as another point relative to this, does his conviction, just saying he's convicted, because that's all we have confirmed as of at this moment, like you said,
Yes,
Brother
yeah,
Gamba, it could change. But
yes, it
just
can.
saying, oh, he's guilty, he's convicted. Oh, wow, guilty on all three counts. Does that negate Sandra Bland? Does that
No,
negate Philando Castile? Does that
never,
even bring back Emmett Till? Does that
none, not,
fix
no, no, no
all of
way,
the other
no how.
stuff?
No, no, it doesn't. What,
Gee.
but what it does do, hold on, but what it does do, if it does hold up, is it sets a precedent that has not been set before, which is when they do these things, they can possibly be brought guilty, which will make other people think before they do certain things. Okay, so no,
Yeah,
it doesn't negate it. It doesn't make up for anything. But if it does, and that's why I say but, there's a big but. If it does hold up, it sets the precedent for the way forward. You see what I'm saying? Because see, this is
right.
the concern now is the shift. There has to be a shift. There has to be a mental and there has to be a spiritual shift in the system for people to see and understand that these things are not going to be okay. We're not going to stand for those things, and it doesn't matter what color we are. Right is right and wrong is wrong. All right. So once it starts to get to that point, then other changes can eventually be made. And that is what the significance is of this trial. And that is why it, and that And that is why it would be so detrimental and devastating if there is an overturning of set aside of it, or a win on appeal or something.
Yeah, we it's kind of like saying, like I said, maybe I'm greedy. It's kind of like saying, you know what? Perfect example: the Empire State Building. At the time it was built in America, um, they had reportedly every 3 days, 3 people died, fell off the building, industrial accidents, whatever. Right? And it took construction roughly of about maybe 10 years. Right? Only in the last year did they say, you know what, everybody that died or hurt or maimed or accidents, we're going to compensate you, or they basically put a impression on the people that were running it to say, now you have to do certain things or make the workplace safer or make it better. But everybody before that time seemingly, they lost their life. They died. They were hurt or whatever else it was for, and they weren't compensated. They wasn't given the best circumstances at all. So it just seems kind of like the problems or the things that impressed on them were moot. Um, yeah. So I guess we'll be watching that case.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the system.
That's
That's
how
the system on the
it
whole.
seems.
And
Yeah, that's how
and
it
this
is.
is the reason why the system itself must change, because the system is the problem.
Yeah. Finally, on a much much a different note, a lighter note. I wouldn't even say lighter note. I don't even know if this is better or if this is worse. I don't know where to put this. In Sandusky, Ohio, there is a gentleman um that came to his son's basketball game. And he saw his son sitting on the bench. This gentleman proceeded to attack the coach and shoot the basketball coach for not giving for the coach not giving his child the adequate playing time. I don't even know where to put this.
Well,
I don't get it.
this needs to be put in the insane asylum, because that's where the brother should be. Because here it is now. When you sign up for any kind of sport or entertainment where you're being trained or coached by somebody, the person who has been assigned as the head of that area is the person who makes the calls in reference to how and when someone is put in the forefront.
Right.
So how is it that you feel that you have the right to not only attack, but then proceed to shoot this individual? And how is it that you felt that this was going to help your child in any way? Because here it is now. If I was the coach of a team, you could have been Michael Jordan, my brother. I don't want you on my team. Because I don't know if your I don't know if that run in the family. I don't know if your daddy in jail, if your uncle, your sister, your ma could come shooting up the place. No, sir. Keep that one over there.
Fucking crazy. That's the word. That's all it is. That's
this is what I'm saying. What? No, man. No. I have to be concerned. Listen, every coach would then have to be concerned of this particular player. The player wasn't at fault, but who's to say that you don't snap at one point and shoot up the place? You understand what I'm saying? Okay. So one like me, that would be a no. You could be the next whoever. I don't care. I ain't hiring you, my brother. You ain't gonna be on my team. Fuck that.
I don't even. This is not a laughing matter because someone was shot. I don't agree with this shit, but oh my goodness. Okay, first off, it's so much to unpack with this shit. It's unbelievable. And it's really sad because that's traumatizing to the other kids that just came to the damn
Yes,
tournament to play. The parents
man.
are
Listen
sitting
to
there,
anybody who was present at the tournament.
right? You know, like that went left, that went wrong
I
quickly.
talking
That
about quickly.
escalated quickly,
Yes,
quickly.
quickly,
Like whoa,
quickly.
like whoa. I didn't come here for that shit. Like really. But you know, and sad that those people had to experience that. However, okay, are there no metal detectors? Are there no you know, no police? Was that why
I,
didn't they hire professional Renaissance protection services to cover the damn tournament?
I, hey, listen, I feel like one of the main problems with society is that we don't take things seriously enough. Something has to happen in order for us
And
to feel that we need it. So let's take, for
yeah,
example, you could have someone who just recently became a star, but because they have never had an issue, they feel like, why should I spend this extra money to protect me when nothing has ever happened to
oh,
make
that's
me
what's gonna
feel
happen. That's fine.
right. You know what I mean?
Yep.
As if my life was in danger. Then somebody shoots them and they might die. It's too late now. You could have possibly been protected. Somebody would have been there who would have taken that bullet for you, or who might have seen it coming and been able to disarm that person or kill them. The issue here is that obviously they didn't feel like these kinds of things were necessary around this kind of event, especially
Right.
not from a parent, because you're not thinking, hey, this is the parent of this child. We've had conversations because the child has been on the team for a while. We've had conversations. So nothing ever happened before. Why should it happen now?
Oh
We have
yeah,
to think,
yeah, yeah.
we have to think worst case scenario at all times. And I'm hoping that this here will have them understanding the need for security at these places, the need
At
for
these
security
events.
at these events, at these dealing with the players, the coaches, everything, to make sure that everybody who is a part of this situation is actually safe.
Yeah, but and you got young kids. You know, you gotta have. If you have young kids in this venue like they did, you have to have some level of protection, of course. Some vetting at the door. You know, it's just so much questions on this whole thing. I don't mean to make light of it, but what I mean, you kind of could tell, was this guy kind of loose? Like, was he kind of nuts? Was the child like rabid or freaking out or acting about playing time or you know? Then who walks around with their gun? Who says, you know what? That's a tournament over. That's a youth game I'm going over to. I'm going to get my gun. Did he premeditatedly take his gun over there? Was it just happened to be on him? Did he have to go to his car and get it and come back? You know, or did he talk to the coach, or did he just come? Oh, my child's not playing. I just came out of jail, or I just came from the army. I got shell shock or PTSD. I'm gonna shoot somebody. What are the circumstances surrounding
Yeah,
this?
yeah. How did we get to this?
How, you
How?
know, did he call the coach and say, "Coach, you motherfucker, you better play my kid this week, or else"? Like, what is going on? I got so much questions here, and I really don't.
I mean, because seriously, what goes through your mind to make you feel that you need to shoot somebody because they're not playing your child? You could have pulled him from the team and try to get him on another team.
Like
All
a
right.
regular
You could have
person.
spoken. You could have spoken to the school and tried to find out what's going on. Also, who's to say that his son was such a great player? The thing
Right.
about it is, the focus, of course, is always the future of the child. That's the concern for the parent, right? So their thing is, okay, there probably was a scout or two out there, and he wanted the entities to be able to see his child or have the tapes to show these people for the future. But the fact of the matter, still, I don't know the situation behind it, but it did not have to go there, because now you're arrested. Okay,
He's
you're
in
going to
jail. He's in
be
police custody, yeah.
right. So you have to serve time for what it is that you did. How does this help your son? How?
You know what? Now that you said that, I get it. I get it, Brother Gamba. I get it. Just on that same point, I get it. maybe the dad, just maybe, he said, you know what? Most kids that grow up without a father go to the NBA or have success in careers.
So he was trying to help a brother out. Okay. Oh,
So
you know what? Hey, you know what? I mean, hey, as ludicrous as it is, that might actually be the truth. That might have been what the
So he
hell
said-
took place. Wow. Because something. Hey, yeah. That's
LeBron doesn't have a
quite
father.
possible.
LeBron doesn't have a father. 17-year NBA career. You know, Kevin
Yeah.
Durant. No, don't have a.
So he may have sat down and looked at the stats and said, "Hey, this is how I'm going to help my child. I'm going to go to jail." The best thing I could do for him is go to jail. That's the only thing I can assume. The best thing I can do for him is go to jail. Wow. Now that's love.
I can go to jail for fuck. Knock on wood. Fuck that. Nah, man. Set your
like I say, for him, that's love. For him, that's freaking love, man.
Sit your butt on the bench and shut the hell up or practice. How about that?
Yeah. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, a full gamut here on pretty much a lot of law and its disseminations here on our show. I want to thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. Again, we no way advocate violence. You know, we have to say that because someone's listening that's gonna take that literally.
Yes.
We no way advocate shooting a coach, you know, or any type of violence or anything like that. We don't advocate any of that stuff. We just, you know, and the law is a slippery slope. You know, certain things are a slippery slope. It doesn't have a hard and fast rule on any of it. But all we just ask is that you think, you know, you do your best to try to figure out what is right or ethical or balanced. I'm your host, Tony Bahama. This brother Malik at the camera. Thank you for joining us here on the Humblest Opinion. Until next time.
See, there we go. I know destination, you never been there before. Oh, no reservation, come on, let's go and explore. If you never know before, well, it's a chance.